Okay, so we're going to jump right into the command prompt, lessons about the command prompt. Okay, so I want you to understand that as an IT professional, the command prompt is going to be an invaluable tool for you. Okay, it's something you're going to use all the time to resolve complex issues and even simple issues. Okay, so most people don't use the command prompt. Most people don't want to use it. They don't understand it. They feel maybe it's too complicated. So you should know that historically, all computers had were a command prompt at some point early on in the PC world, in the history of personal computers. The graphical user interface, which is what you're probably used to using, came later, came much later. So all these buttons and icons and stuff you could click. Okay, this was not available in the early days of personal computing. So you should be able to understand that the command prompt, what we used to call DOS or Disk Operating System, was what everybody used, and that's what computing was only about for a period of time until it changed and evolved. So for us, what we want to do is understand the benefits of the command prompt for the benefit of resolving technical issues. So the command prompt, the big advantage of it is that there are things you could do that are much more efficient, much more effective, and there's a lot of tools that are available that are not available within the graphical user interface. Okay, so let's go ahead and figure out how to access the command prompt. Okay, the easiest way to get to the command prompt is in the bottom left corner. You type in CMD. All right, and then you see it says command prompt here, so I could left click it and open it. So the command prompt is just this basic text window here. It's a black background with white text. Okay, so you see it says here Microsoft Windows version 10. I'm using Windows version 10. This is the sub version here, 0.19044.1826. This will change as I do updates to Windows. Okay, here it says Microsoft Corporation, all rights reserved. So it's telling you this is a Microsoft software. Okay, it's called legalese. They want to tell you, where it's from. And then here, and we'll cover this more in a little bit, is the path that I'm in currently. Okay, so this first lesson is to learn how to open the command prompt. Okay, so there's a couple of things to consider. This first one is opening the command prompt as a regular user versus an administrator. So as a regular user, this is what it looks like. It just says command prompt, and I'm in C users, so that gives you a clue that I'm a regular user, student. Okay, student happens to be the name of my current user in this computer. I'm logged in as student. Okay, if I go to the CMD again, bottom left corner, you see the sub menu here. There's an option here. I could open it, or I could go run as administrator. If I click on run as administrator, then I have another window that pops up that's similar, but it's not the same. If you notice on the top left corner, it says administrator command prompt. It does not say it here. Okay, it just says select command prompt. It says select administrator command prompt. So now I'm in the, I open a window that's the command prompt, not as a regular user, but as an administrator. So I have all the privileges of an administrator. I only can do whatever the privileges set for this current user can do. And as a standard user, you can do a lot of things, but you cannot make administrative changes to your computer. You can only pretty much have control over whatever files and folders you create as a student, as this user called student. So that's a standard user. So that's how standard users work. Administrator, on the other hand, I can make all the changes I want. Okay, so as an IT professional, you're gonna oftentimes want to be logged in as the administrator. Okay. The other next thing I want you to notice is that the location is different. See Windows System 32. So whatever you see in the command prompt is also available in the graphical user interface. So, and vice versa. So if I want to go to the graphical user interface, if I want to find my C drive, which is here, and it says OS here. It doesn't have to, but it happens to say OS here, which means operating system. And you see like a little icon here of a hard drive. I double click, and I go to Windows. Okay, SC Windows. Then I need to go to System32. So I start to type System32. There it is. Here's System32. I double click and drill into that. Then I type in CMD, and there it is. Okay. As I type within the graphical user interface, it will try to find that file for me, or that folder for me. Okay. So you can see here it says cmd.exe. This is the actual file that I'm opening when I'm typing in CMD in the command prompt. It's the exact same. It's the only one that's in the computer. It's this. Okay. So if I type in CMD here and I left click, and it opens up as a standard command prompt, not as administrator, it's still this is the file I just opened. Okay. It just happens to, it knows to open it in C users and the user profile that I'm currently using, which is called student. It could be, this could be called anything, right? It depends what you name it. All right. If I double click here, it's going to open up the command prompt, and it opens up the location, because that basically opens up the location that it happens to be in at the time. When I double click it, that's how it opens. Okay. Okay. So it's also important to note I could right click and run as administrator here. See the idea? So if I just double click, that opens up regular command prompt, but you could right click and usually access run as administrator for any file in Windows that way. So that's two different ways to open the command prompt, and two different methods. One is the regular user, and one is the administrator. So there's a couple other ways that you should know about. Okay, another one is if you look at your keyboard on the bottom left corner, there's the Windows logo. Okay, if you're not familiar with the Windows logo, it looks like some windows. Okay, like almost like four windows stills, I guess you might say. In any case, you press down that Windows logo key. It's to the left of the Alt key, left to the space bar. Okay, hold it down and press R. And then what happens is you open up what's called the Run dialog box. Okay, in here, whatever you type in, it'll try to open it. Okay, so if there was nothing there, I type in CMD, press Enter, it's going to open up a command prompt. Notice though, it did not open up the administrator command prompt. So I'll do it again, or let's see, let's do Windows key R. Okay. And from here, I could hold down Control and Shift. I hold it down, I don't let go, press Enter, and it will open up the administrator. Okay, so that's your trick, Control Shift. Now, one thing you should understand, if I do Windows key and R, in my computer, because I already typed this, it remembers it and it's there and it's highlighted. That means the focus of the computer is there. If my focus of the computer is somewhere else, let's say I open up this text document and I'm not focused on, the computer doesn't know that I'm focusing. Let's say I click on my desktop. Okay, if I do Control Shift and Enter, nothing happens because I need to click in right there. Okay, see, I highlight it. Then I do Control Shift and Enter, and then it works. Okay, so one of the lessons here is that no matter where you are in the computer, you need to tell the computer where to look, where to focus. And so we do that with a pointing device like a mouse. So you could click on icons here, and you could double click to open. You could single click to select. Okay, you could right click to get the sub menus here. You could rename, you could delete, open, you could print it, you could edit it, whatever the case may be. Okay, but you need to understand that wherever the focus is of the computer, that's where you're going to affect the computer. Okay, so with that idea in mind, if I now go to, let's say, the C drive, and let's say I go to just Dell folder, I'm just going to a random folder. It doesn't really matter. This is just an example. If I want to open up the command prompt here, because let's say I was trying to fix a problem and I was on the phone with Dell support, and they said, well, go to C Dell update package log. okay, in that folder, what I want you to do is open the command prompt. So I could just type it in, CMD, right in the address bar, and press enter. And if you notice, it is the same address. It's the C Dell update package log. C Dell update package log. Okay. So what I did is two things. I opened up the command prompt using the location in the address bar, and then as a result, I got the address that I wanted to be in already there. Okay, so that's one shortcut of how to open up the command prompt from any folder in what's called this. If I'm using the graphical user interface here, this is called Explorer. So I could do that in any folder in Explorer. I could go to drivers. See right here, I could type in CMD. It's the same thing. So I'm C:\drivers. C:\drivers. See the idea? I could go to network here, drill in a little bit more, go to this random folder and this random folder, and here I am. And again, I can type in CMD and I'm there. And that's the same path. Okay. Okay, so keep in mind that I could also close a window just by typing the word exit. So type the word exit, press enter, and it'll close your command prompt. See how that looks? So just type in the word exit and press enter. And that's another way to close the command prompt. So that's important to understand. Okay, so that's the end of the first video. I'm going to go ahead and stop this one, and then we're going to go to part 2.